Welcome to Overcome Yourself, the podcast, where we rewrite stories, shift mindsets, and make dreams come true. I'm your host, Nicole Tuxbury. Let's get into today's episode. Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to the next episode of Overcome Yourself, the podcast. As you know, my name is Nicole, and I'm so excited to be here today with Neena. And now, Neena she has this beautiful mix of faith and what's going on in your head? I'm not going to butcher it anymore. Neena, take it away. Tell us a little bit about who you are and who you help.
Oh, yeah. Hi, everyone. I am Neena Perez, and I am a transformational life coach. I'm also a chef. So I believe in like helping people from the inside out. So faith is a big component of it for me because faith is what really has helped me survive a lot of things. And so I definitely, blend a lot of faith with inner working and transcending all these unwanted behaviors. And then I help women mainly women, create the businesses that they want to create that aligns with their values. Because a lot of times the world just tells you a lot of things and you don't know where to go. And I think that we all have to live in a space that we're proud of, that we love, and that we want to do. So that's what I do in a nutshell. I help women really create coaching businesses or service-based businesses that align with their values.
Oh, that is amazing.
Thank you.
Can you talk to us a little bit about faith? Is there like a specific, are you speaking about a specific religion here? Or are you talking about just having faith in something and then you could work with that?
Well, I've worked with women that in all kinds of faiths, but I am a Christian. So mainly the women that come to me are coming to me because they know I'm a Christian. So, I talk a lot about God. I talk a lot about, Jesus. I talk a lot about, us aligning ourselves with our belief system. But honestly, I have friends that are Muslims. I have friends that are, I have friends that are Buddhists. I have friends that are everywhere because I don't discriminate on that piece. But I do like them to know that because if they come into the space, they need to know that I am a Christian and that that's where I'm going to be leaning because that's what I believe. Yeah.
Of course. I love
Yeah.
that. That is amazing. And so can you talk to us about because when you talk to us about faith and aligning with our values, that
hmm
can be a little far-fetched. So can you bring that back down to us and kind of give us a more graspable concept of what that means? Like, um,
hmm hmm
what if I don't know my values, for example? Like I do, but I'm just saying
hmm
in our audience, what if we don't know our values?
Yeah, well, that's actually something we go through. I have a big project coming out in September for women. It's called Purpose by Design, and it's going to be 90 days of me helping women understand what their values are, what is it exactly that they feel they should be bringing out into the world, and then how do we create that? And we're going to be running. It's 90 days. We're going to just do it. And so faith is a component of how do you anchor yourself into what you believe, right? I wasn't always a Christian. I always, before I did other things. And so for me, it's like, how does God play a part in what it is you're trying to build? So right now, I just completed a journal that I'm selling on my shop that is a CEO meeting with God. And basically is you spending about 15 to 30 minutes, depending on how long you want to take, spending very particular meetings with him on, maybe a scripture comes up. What does that mean to you? How do you align that? What does that mean about your business? How do you grow that? All that kind of thing. So aligning our purpose and values, sometimes we know, but we just are too afraid to say that that's what it is because we try to be politically correct or socially correct or whatever the correct thing is. And I think that, just really start searching yourself because you need to realize that maybe there's some healing that needs to go on. Maybe there's some things that that you really can help people with. So it's really about a journey, but we need to break down discovering what those God-given things are for you. I even have a free quiz. If anybody wants to go on my site, they can take a quiz. It's a purpose-driven quiz. It'll ask you 20 questions and it'll tell you kind of where you align and maybe what business you should be looking at according to that.
That's really interesting. Um, so is this strictly on values or do you look at spiritual gifts as well?
No, both spiritual gifts as well. Yeah. And anybody who joins or works with me, because I have a lot of women who are working with me right now, we actually really go through this big audit, if you will, of all of your natural gifts, because a lot of us have gifts. And then
Hmm.
also, what are your spiritual gifts? Maybe you're a person who can teach or is patient, is kind, is motivating. It's, all the spiritual gifts that can come out. So yes, we do both. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Um, Now, you kind of touched on this, but I would like to hear a little bit of your story of how you overcame yourself.
Mm,
Because I imagine that you didn't start off doing this, right? Like
that's
this
right.
feels like a journey that you kind of walked into like I did. So I'd love
Yeah.
to hear the story behind that.
Yeah.
Um,
You want to hear the story behind how I overcame myself?
yeah,
Yeah.
how did you
Okay.
end up helping women in this very specific,
Yeah.
beautiful and transformational area?
It started a long time ago when I realized I was really bogged down with a lot of depression and a lot of anxiety and a lot of victim mentality. I mean, it really was a thing for me. And it's because, I've been abused as a child. I was almost murdered by my domestic partner, and things like that. So I had a lot of trauma. And that trauma, even though everything I did in life, like every job I went to, I rose. I was always like at the top of the game, but it was because I didn't want to deal with my nonsense, right? So I dove 1,000% into all of my work, right? So it was always work, 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 and nothing else. And then I realized one day that I would just hit a wall. I had two kids. So I had a kid at 15 years old and then a second kid at 21, and I was in a toxic marriage, and I just was depressed. And I came to this place and I came to God and I just laid it down and I'm like, I cannot do this anymore. I cannot do this, So I left it there and I started to really start to discover what is going on with Nina. Like, how do we get out of this horrible hole that I'm in, this mentality? And there has to be something better in life, Nicole, because I was in a dark place and I didn't even want to live anymore. So it was like really dark. But I realized that you have to feel it to heal it, right? So I had to start to realize that I had these deep feelings that I didn't want to deal with. I was just like running away from them, suppressing them, don't want to go there. That hurts. But it wasn't until I actually sat with it and I say God because I was praying in prayer about it. I was laying in the bed. I was just praying. I'm like, okay, God, just show me. And I started going down this road of like all the abuse and all of this stuff started coming out. And I cried like nobody's business, but I also healed. I realized I had to really feel these pains in order to heal it instead of running from it. Then I wrote my book, which is Hit Me With Your Best Shot. And when women started reading that book, they started coming up to me in coffee shops and places I was at and was telling me how their father did this, or their brother did this, or their this, or their mother did. And I'm like, wow. So they started using it in book clubs and they started using it in different places. And I was like, I can help somebody more if I am truthful about who I am and what I've gone through than if I just try to be happy go lucky and fake it all the time. And so that's where the healing journey began. And then I've got my master's in neurolinguistic programming and then positive intelligence and all the things, right, that you get when you
Hmm.
first dive into personal development, all the books and all the courses. And so that's what I did. And then the podcast came out, which is Straight Talk, No Sugar Added, which just started with my journey in faith. And then it just evolved to talking with amazing people like yourself who are out here doing these great things to transform the world, even if it's just one voice at a time, right? So that's how it kind of started. And that's what I help people with. Like, let's talk about that place. Why are you feeling like that? What does that mean to you? How is that? What are we doing? It's not therapy, it's coaching. And that's the difference,
Yes.
right? So yeah,
Mhm.
that's a little nutshell of it.
That's beautiful. One of the things that I talk to my clients about all the time, something that my coach talked to me about, and I pass it on as well, um, having a team in place, right? And having a therapist.
Yes.
is a very important part of that team, but also having a coach, right? Because the
Mm-hmm.
therapist, somebody put it this way, it's very oversimplified, but it's a kind of a nice way of looking at it to me, where the therapist helps you kind of deal with the past,
Mm-hmm.
and then the coach is going to help you use all of that to build out the future.
That's
But
correct.
you have both sides of it, right? Because if we're living in the past, we're living in depression. Like if our minds were in the past, we're in
Mm-hmm.
depression.
Mm-hmm.
If we're living in the future, now we're anxious. And
Mm-hmm.
so having someone help us deal with both of those sides so we can be in the present,
Yeah, agreed.
accepting everything that happened. I guess I have a very similar journey to yours. I don't know how similar, but I related with a lot of the things that you mentioned happening to you. Some of the
Mm.
stuff that I haven't even started talking about on this show. um, but let's just say I know what it's like to almost die at the hands of a loved one.
Yeah.
And I can't have things around my throat now because of
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
incident that happened to me many, many years ago. Um, but thank you for sharing that because I just want you to know that we appreciate your vulnerability. And there's so much truth to what you said, especially where we are right now in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's so many people talking about what other people are doing, what other
Mm-hmm.
things are happening. They're quoting things. But I think people are craving real
Yeah.
stories, real connection,
Yeah.
real joy and hope and struggle and opportunity. And I read an article. I know this is going to come out later, but when we're recording this episode, I read an article about how sitcoms, they used to be like in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was happy. Everything was great. And then, like everything would get solved in 20 minutes. And then we moved into the era of CSI
Mm-hmm.
and things started getting gritty. And I
So
remember
true.
I remember
Mm-hmm.
watching CSI Thursday nights at 9. It was like a family event. Everybody would come together and we would watch CSI together. But things got really gritty and really dark.
Dark.
And now we're starting to come on the other side of that with wait a second, it's too dark now.
Yeah, I
um
think people are bogged down. I agree with you. Yeah.
Yes, and so we have shows like they were mentioning Drew Barrymore has this show where she doesn't apparently I haven't watched it, but according to this article that I was reading, she's not knocking other people. Like she is actually just having fun, she's bringing joy, and I think people are craving that now. So
Mm-hmm.
can you
Mm-hmm.
talk to me a little bit about the importance of joy and gratitude in everything that you're doing?
It's literally what shifted my life, literally, right?
Me too.
Because when I was struggling, I,
Mhm,
was really, it was dark all the time, all the time, all the time, right? Because let's be real. I know that things are ugly right now, the politic world and all the crap
mhm.
out there, but the truth is that it's always like that. It's
Yes.
always like that. The problem is we're getting too much information at once, too much information and we're losing the human touch, right? And
Mhm.
so even like YouTube, a lot of people are mad at them, but I'm kind of happy about it. They actually just demonetized all AI faceless videos. Good for you, YouTube, right? Because people are craving real. They're craving people. They're craving actual connections again, right? And your assessment is beautiful. I agree with all of the different seasons and all the things that we've gone through in these decades. I agree with that, right? I'm 52, so I'm a Gen Xer, right? I had the blessing and the privilege of being prior any of this, social media and computers and all that. And I have the blessing of still being young enough to understand it all too. So I'm in that space that I really, really am happy about. But I agree with you. Joy and gratitude has to be the number one thing. So one thing that I've practiced my entire last 25, 35 years is gratitude. So I get up every morning, open my eyes, and I'm so grateful for that. And then I really think about three things, but it's always like more than three that I'm super grateful for. Now, if some of you are listening, like, what do I have to be grateful for? Well, you have so much to be grateful for that you don't even know it. Okay. I was watching a video on Instagram of a mom and a daughter dressing one of the daughters who is completely paraplegic, right? And I'm thinking, I could still walk. I'm grateful, right? I could still go make my own meal. I'm grateful. I can see. I'm grateful. Like, so think of something that maybe someone else wishes they had that you have. Don't look at somebody in
or
front of you and say, oh, they got everything. What's that?
or or look at what where you were before, because
I was just
sometimes
going
it
to
helps
say
you
that.
to
I was
think,
going there.
yes.
Yes. And look at where you've been and where you are today, because I'm telling you, if you take the time to track where you were and where you are going to see the significant growth. And maybe some of you are like, no, 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 I'm a lot worse than I used to be. That could be true, but it doesn't mean that you have to stay there. You also have the decision to shift it and move forward. And I think
Mhm.
that that's what it is too. We all have to take responsibility for ourselves. And you can't blame your family and your family history and who did what to you when. You have got to take control and take the reins of your own life and be grateful for what you have right now. And when you are given a little and you're grateful for the little, more will be given to you. I really believe that. Yeah.
Out of that, those are Jesus's words.
Hmm. Hmm.
The parable of the coins, right? I know that one has a
Yeah.
lot of names, but it's so true. And it's really about our perspective,
Yeah.
right? It's not that that there's new things coming in. It's about the gratitude, learning to practice gratitude, especially when things are going well,
That's right.
is so that we can remember to notice.
That's
Because
right.
it is so easy for things to just become what it is, right? Like you get a new job and you were so excited, but now you have a lot more work. And then
Hmm.
it's more stressful and you're like, oh, right. And so it's all the little things. And even just thinking down to your point, when there was moments where I was like, I don't know what to be grateful for,
Hmm.
I started getting really technical and I started trying to find the smallest detail. And so even if it was the fact that the combination of gases in our atmosphere was exactly correct so that we could breathe,
That's
because
so
if
good.
there's too many hydrogen atoms,
That's
we
right.
die. If there's too much CO2, we die, right? We can't even breathe. And so just the fact that we have that and that we are just
Yeah.
far enough
Yeah.
away from the sun, and
Yeah.
and so there's tiny little things, and what things that are like totally out of my control that I can be grateful for. The greens in the trees, like if you look at all, there's so many different greens,
It's so
and you
true.
look at different trees and you get to experience that. Or the smells, like remembering just smelling your coffee, smelling the grass, smelling
Mm-hmm.
after the
Mm-hmm.
rain, just all the time smelling a baby. Oh, baby smells so good. Apparently that's what like your inside smell like the inside of the uterus. That's what a baby smells like.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so we smell really good. Our uterus smell really good.
To know.
That's like, like the fluid, right? And that's the thing that we smell and we're like, oh my God, that smells so good. And that comes from us.
Mm,
And so just all those little beautiful tiny details. I like to remind myself because gratitude saved my life. Like I tell
same.
everybody that if I hadn't figured this out, I don't know where I'd be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's scientific evidence, like it changes things inside of our body, like
Mm-hmm.
pain. We feel it less. Healing happens more. It happens faster. And these are not just like woo woo, like, oh my
No,
God,
it's true.
like
Yeah.
documented scientific fact. And so, yes, gratitude and joy. Now, you had mentioned everything that you're talking about is fantastic. I'm loving this conversation,
Thank you.
And you had mentioned that you had a very special gift for my audience. So can you tell
Mm.
us a little bit about that? I know you already mentioned the quiz, but you had told me something else. So,
Oh yeah, yeah. So there is for those of you who are listening and maybe you want to do some sort of service-based business or coaching business, there's a free ebook that I have written that actually gives you all the steps that you need to get started. So it's called Elevate Your Wisdom to Wealth. And it's taking like all of the things that you have done, all of the skill sets that you have. It even asks you a couple spiritual questions on there, but it also gives you frameworks like, okay, who's your ideal avatar? Who do you want to go to? How do you find them? Where do you go for that? How do you market yourself? All that. So I took basically my coaching program and I just condensed it as much as I could to give people a heads up. So those of you who are really like wanting to, hey, let me see if I actually am on the right track, or maybe I want to start this coaching business, but I don't know what I want to do. I really highly recommend that you get it and do the exercises. There's a bunch of exercises. I mean, it's really in detail, and it's called Elevate Your Wisdom to Wealth, and you can get that. on my shop actually, which is shop.neenaperez.com. So Nina is Neena Perez.com. And there's a bunch of stuff on there too. There's there's some master classes that are free that are on there. There's some other free resources. All my stuff is on that shop. So if you go on there, shop.neenaperez.com, you'll find it. And please use it. A lot of people have written back to me, told me how much they've had good success with it. So go for it. It's all yours.
Yay, that's amazing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And of course, and for those of us who would love to connect with you on social media, how can we stay in touch with you?
So you'll find me anywhere on Neena Perez, literally anywhere. And you can also find me at Straight Talk No Sugar Added. So either one. You can find me either one. Yeah.
Awesome. And we just like you're that's like the title we type into social
Yeah.
media
Yeah.
and to find. Okay,
And
perfect,
you'll find me
perfect.
everywhere. Yeah, and right now I'm actually working on a big project because I've been a chef for 20 years, and I am launching a new YouTube channel called The Purpose Filled Kitchen, which is basically cooking and coaching. So yeah,
Oh my gosh, that is so fun.
thank
I
you.
love cooking. I love, yes, I'm in Miami, so I love all kinds of food.
Oh, good. I love
So
Miami.
yay. And so that sounds delicious and very informative. So I love that. I'll be on the
Thank
lookout for
you.
that.
Thanks.
Now before we sign off, yes, of course. Um, I'd like to know what's your biggest tip? Like, what's that big tip that you give your audience that gives them the biggest aha moment? We want you to give it away here.
Yeah, I just want you to acknowledge that you have to have awareness that you do have an inner war going on. All of us do, right? Self-awareness is going to be the beginning of your spiritual authority. So if you're going
Mm.
through something inside of you and it's something that's really like, yeah, but I don't think I'm good enough, this enough, that enough, skinny enough, tall enough, whatever the enough thing the world told you. That is, to me, a deep war that needs to be brought forward. So you need to sit in it and actually acknowledge it. Okay, thank you for being here. What is the benefit of this thing coming up for you? And how do we shift it? Okay, so you got to be intentional. Don't just let thoughts come and sit there and cause a disaster in your day. Actually be intentional about what it is you are going to ponder and think about. All right, because I believe that that is really where your spiritual authority is going to begin, where you start to be self-aware of what it is that you are believing that might not even be true. All right. So take the time to be intentional. That's my tip for the day.
I love that. Yeah, we can't fix what we don't know what it is. So the
Right.
first thing you have to do is acknowledge.
Yeah.
And that's such a common theme on this show. Um, Yes, yes, you're dead on. We love it. This has been absolutely amazing, Nina. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
joining us today. You are just a wealth of just absolutely wonderful info. And you're so radiant and joyful. I love that. So thank you so much for
Ah,
joining us.
appreciate you so much, Nicole. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And thank you guys for joining us. We'll catch you guys next time on the next episode of Overcome Yourself, the podcast. Bye. Thanks again for tuning in to Overcome Yourself, the podcast. Stay bold, stay grateful, and keep becoming your best you. For more information and resources from me, Nicole, head over to nicoletexberry.com/resources. See you next time.